Good morning. Good morning. Mic check 1 2 1 2. In the meantime, hey, let's make sure this thing is rocking and rolling. Good morning, everybody. This is Clint Paris. You're live on In-Touch News Radio, Reality Radio. Everybody could be a star. I want to welcome you to Straight Up the Middle. And listen, I got a treat for everybody. Last week, we were blessed to have Professor Tony Seabrook get on the phone with us, and since Trump has been indicted, I figured I would treat you all to some more insightful commentary from the good professor. Professor Seabrook, are you there?
I am here. Good morning.
Good morning to you too. Good morning to you. So we're here. I mean, this has been coming for a very long time. That we expected criminal charges against Donald Trump, but the indictment's finally fallen. And not to necessarily get deep into the details of the indictment. What was your initial thoughts, though, when you heard he had officially been indicted?
Well, I wasn't surprised. I don't think many of us on this side of the aisle were surprised. And Trump himself has been pretty vocal about it, obviously for different reasons. But wasn't surprised at all. I would say that it angered me just a little more, just bothered me just a little more what I perceive, and like-minded conservative, I don't want to say Republicans, but conservative folks think about what the Biden administration is doing. I mean, it's pretty obvious for us. They're just weaponizing, and they're throwing everything at Trump because he's the political front runner. And
you know what? There are a number of comments you mentioned, and Professor, if you could speak a little bit louder into the microphone, you're coming across camera. But a couple of things that presupposes. The first one is that Joe Biden controls the DOJ, and if we're going to accept that, we don't have an independent criminal justice system from our political system. I think that's problematic because that was the same argument, I guess, when Barr came out with his findings regarding, Trump's activities. And the presumption was that, well, Trump had influence over that. This presupposes that Joe Biden told the DOJ time to go forward with those charges. Is that kind of your perception of this?
Well, yeah, of course it is. Thank you for laying it out so eloquently, but, we can say it in shorter words than that. Yeah, he does control the DOJ. The Attorney General reports to him. The Attorney General runs the DOJ. So, yeah, that's pretty obvious. But again, thank you for putting it so eloquently, but we're here. We know what the map looks like.
All right, so let me say this real quick then. So what is the real political benefit to Joe Biden of trying to get rid of Trump? Because he got rid of Trump at Trump's most powerful. When Trump was in the White House, had the bully pulpit, had all the momentum, he beat Donald Trump. Why would he need to do such a thing if just to beat Donald Trump?
I think I hear gate rattling, but I don't care. I'm bold. I'm going to run right in. The reason why, because he didn't beat Trump fair and square. We all know it, and we know what they do to people who speak against that installment, not that election, but that installment. And Joe Biden is a weakened president. He's weakened visually, and we know that Joe Biden's not calling these shots. He is absolutely not calling the shots. It is the office of the presidency that's moving against Trump, but they don't want Trump. And Trump is always shooting himself in the foot. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, he said he was going to release all the files for JFK, for the assassination. You know they don't want that kind of stuff being floated out. I mean, so he has everybody just gunning for him. Even Rachel Maddow said the same thing. If Trump would concede to not run, they probably wouldn't pursue him.
All right, so you're saying, though, Joe Biden he beat him before, but you don't think he would beat?
No, you're saying that.
Yeah, well,
you're saying Joe Biden beat him before. Okay.
All right, so let me. I'm not going to. You know what? No, feel like I'm being set up, but I'm going to take the bait. I'm going to go for it. I know that there's a trap over there, but let me ask, what do you mean the election wasn't, he didn't beat him in the election?
The same way Joe Biden doesn't have any supporters. Joe Biden doesn't have any supporters. Joe Biden just has Trump haters, and people can throw him in that camp. But Joe Biden had, you don't hear any Biden, whatever you would call it. You hear MAGA Republicans, MAGA this. Joe Biden has no alliance. He just has the system backing him. The system always bucked Trump, and the system didn't want Trump. So Trump made out well. I told you, he took his voters with him, and he still has them. And a firm grip on them.
I would agree with that. That's one thing that's definite. So how does this help Donald Trump? How does he spend this to his advantage then?
Okay. Well, see, here's the thing. I just never know, but Donald Trump has proven to be either a mastermind or or just very lucky. To this date, since he's left office, he's been impeached twice. He's been indicted. He's had his taxes released. I mean, he's just been hit. And it gives him more strength. So let me say it like this. Why would Donald Trump hold on to the records? Now, from my understanding, and I did try to look this up so I can be just somewhat prepared. As a president, Trump he's not breaking the law to retain or to be in possession of classified top secret information. But he has to return them when he's petitioned or requested to return them.
Right.
So therein, from my understanding, lies the problem. So then it begs the question, Trump is not a reader. He's not a historian. What is he going to do with these records?
Wait. Did you say Donald Trump can't read?
No, I say he's not a reader.
He's not a reader.
That's different. He's not a reader.
So he's not reading documents.
He's not reading. And that's like Bill Barr said the same thing. I mean, he doesn't have the temperament to sit still in the meeting, to have an adult conversation. I mean, as much as I want to disagree with that, Trump hadn't shown me that he has that capability or even the desire to do that when he's in office. And I will also say Trump does everything that benefits him. But at least the country was benefiting with that. Now, you may argue that, but I think our economic conditions, our presence over no wars, that kind of stuff, Trump at least has that in his hip pocket. You may be able to argue some of that, but we weren't in this tumultuous time that we're in now. So it goes back to, why did you keep them? Did you want this fight? And the answer has to be yes, because somebody had to have said, okay, man, look, you know they're going to indict you again if you don't return these records. Even if he didn't know how many records, he could have just said, hey, look, go get me these because I want these at my house. Having no regard for the law, maybe having no knowledge of the law, but I just want these records because he thinks he can have them. But when told to return them, he decided not to. At that point, I think he made a conscious decision. I just don't know why. But he wanted this fight. So I would say to people who think, like I've been teasing you and DJ CEO, we got him now. We got him now. Trump has beat you guys at every turn when you had him.
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on, man. I don't know what you mean Donald Trump has beaten. He got indicted. He lost the election. He got convicted, or he lost the liability lawsuit up in New York. I don't know that he's actually winning. He lost Congress. Actually, Congress got won back when he was voted out. So he doesn't have all these victories per se. But let me say what he does do, though. He continues to control the American narrative. He controls that, and that's all I think his goal is. Is that? Let me ask you this: so how should the other candidates play this out? You know, how should they deal with He's now been indicted. What do you think their strategy is going to be if we take the position that they're really running for president?
Well, I think DeSantis did the right thing by coming out saying that, pretty much Biden and the AG, they should not be, or Biden should not be weaponizing the DOJ against his political opponent in an election season. Because it's not just we think, we know who's the front runner, and he's not the front runner by single digits. Donald Trump is the front runner by double digits. So your political opponent is there. He never left.
Yeah.
So I think the others aren't going to say very much. I think Tim Scott, because Tim Scott, I'm going to say he's Obama Jr. He's Obama light. He's very charismatic. Very.
The guy won't he won't even acknowledge he's black. If you were to ask him straight up, are you black? He would give you, I'm an American success story, the exception to the rule, and I believe in the dream. I mean, you couldn't even get him to admit, if you asked the man a straight up question. But that's funny you say, because my thought would be, I expected, is it Hutchinson? I think Asa Hutchinson and Chris Christie to be the attack dogs. That they were going to come in to go after and attack Donald Trump, and then to a lesser extent, from a moral standpoint, you were going to have Mike Pence, kind of taking the high road, But it's interesting. I think the Democrats, just from the Democrats, I like a race against Donald Trump. The other people I don't know. Mm-hmm. The other people may be too acceptable. Not Chris Christie, but DeSantis may have enough people thinking, you know what, he's young. I like what he did in Florida. Let's give him a shot. Nikki Haley, she might somehow capture the women's movement and get things and that we don't know. Donald Trump is baked in. Everybody's opinion about him is what it is, and there's no policy he's going to come out with that's going to woo people, that makes them excited. So, I think Biden has a worse chance against one of these other younger Republican candidates. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think the polls support. Let's take Trump out of it, because I don't think the polls say if he's running against Trump. Not those polls that poll Biden and Trump. But the polls that I saw, even as of 2 weeks ago, Democrats said that Joe Biden's age is a factor. He should not run, that the Democrats should put forth another person. So this whole notion that Biden somehow is, in a good position to win, I think that's a huge assumption. And maybe the more you say it, the more people will believe it. But the eye test doesn't even prove that. He's hard on the eyes.
Well, you've got some other.
He's hard on the ears.
Yeah, but he is what we got. You've got some other candidates in. You got Robert Kennedy Jr. in. He's polling at about 20%, but he sounds like a kook.
Well,
allegedly.
But here's the thing. Why is that last name Kennedy not ringing any louder?
Because of what the guy says. See, on the because of what he came out and say, he's an anti-vaxxer. I think he thinks the world is flat. Man, we never landed on the moon. I mean, the guy's kind of kooky. He wants to close the southern border. Close it. Just close it. Just.
All those anti-vaxxers, I think they were kind of, proven right to a certain extent. When the data comes out about the vaccine, I mean, people still have a good argument against the vaccine, how it was done. We know hindsight is 20/20.
Right.
And so the Biden administration, who came in and said, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this," there was nothing on the shelves when came in, just lying. But they're going to be left holding the bag. When the data comes out, it's going to point more to Biden than it's going to point to Trump. But
but you can't. Unfortunately, we're in a time and space where you can't trust anything that you hear. I would rather have gone the route that we went with the COVID vaccine than the route that the world went with the bubonic plague, which I think is what they were recommending. You just let it play out. Whoever dies, dies. And the rest of whoever lives, well, you all, enjoy yourselves. And I don't think that's that's the way to go. Let me ask you, my thought is going to be this, and I think a good line for Trump to take, or even the Republicans, is, okay, you've indicted Trump, but here's the politicalness of this. Why hasn't Hunter Biden been indicted, or at least some report been made about his situation? And why was Hillary not indicted for her, what was it, extreme recklessness in how she handled documents?
Her emails.
Yeah, and how she, right, exactly. That
Well,
makes
don't we
it
have Joe
political.
Biden in there, too? Wasn't there a special counsel appointed for Joe Biden's records that he had in his garage and that?
Yeah, see, but he gave the key is going to be he gave them back. I think everybody understands. Everybody's going to say
them back 20 years later.
He didn't know he had them. But that I think is more problematic for Donald Trump. And then they show the pictures in the bathroom. Then they show pictures in the ballroom. They show the documents like Flat Stanley. The documents are traveling America everywhere. And then he's talking about.
At least they were in his house. I mean, they had them in the garage.
I don't know. You call a ballroom a house? I mean, they were in the ballroom on a stage. Where they held weddings at? I mean, it just to me the
maybe that's where they were, but he lives there. He lives there. He just has a big house. Oh wait. He lives there.
Okay, and I know, Professor, you were short on time with you this morning. Give us your prediction of how this plays itself out. Trump go to jail, Trump's convicted, or does his appointed judge down there in South Florida throw this thing out?
Well, I think he has a better chance because it's his appointee, not because, I don't think necessarily because he appointed the judge, but I think it's flimsy enough. I think if he says, look, I didn't know, or I thought, what's the thing that they need to do? Whatever clearance he needed to have, whatever he worked out with the clearinghouse, I'm just going to use that term.
Okay.
I think if he responds the right way, but I don't think he goes to jail. I think, if anything else, I don't know about to say convict him because it can be a fine. So I think they fine him because it's a fine on imprisonment. So I think they fine him.
Okay.
So they can say they did something. But I don't think it hurts his poll numbers. And if they do anything less than arresting him and putting him in jail, he still becomes the Republican nominee.
Got it. Okay. Well,
so that's my prediction. Well, if they do not put him in jail, he becomes the Republican nominee.
I predict he gets convicted, and then Joe Biden pardons him. That's what I think happens. Absolutely. High road. When they go low, we go high. Listen, Professor, thank you very much for taking time out this morning, jumping on with us, man. Look, you have a great rest of your day, and look forward to seeing how this thing plays itself out. All right, man. Later, man. Professor Tony Seabrook, y'all. Look, all right. Gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back on the other side. In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where even you could be a star. We're right back after this break.
Psi fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam all-white party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number 1, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers on the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pork, collard greens, man. Come get some. You'll need a smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The rib man, mama, the rib man.
All right, we're back live on In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody could be a star. Again, my name is Clint Paris here. Let's trying to debrief everybody. I'm trying to get my hands around. You know, we just had a ex-president indicted. The magnitude on the world stage. This is just such a new territory for our country. There's no way that this cannot impact the office of president, our legal system. And think about this, in particular in the black community. We have long said, hey, the legal system is skewed against certain groups who don't have power. And to see more people alleging it's politicized and that kind of stuff, it just makes it, you know, our legal system seem less and less valid. But be that as it may, this guy dared them to indict him, the stuff he did. He dared the system to say, treat me like you treat anybody else. And so it was. So with that being said, we've got a call on the line. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is your fraternity brother and lawyer and former state representative. I just got to tell you, Mr. Paris, I called into your show today because I was listening. And I've never needed an X-Lax after listening to a radio show before. But today is the first.
You needed one. You needed one.
Yeah, something, man. I need something. I don't know. Listen, this is Ed Rain, by the way. This is craziness, man. Your guy, look, the professor's a really smart guy. I know he's an economics professor, right? That's where he kind of needs to stay. I didn't know if y'all, when I first tuned in, I was a little bit late. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't sure if you were talking about Tupac or Trump. Because I've never seen a former elected official indicted in so many states before. And then people still think he's innocent. The idea that Mr. Trump somehow made a conscious decision to keep records because he was picking on a fight, it's ludicrous. And I'm not talking about the rapper. It's crazy. Okay? Donald Trump has never been that calculating. What we're going to find out through this trial, possibly, we'll see what happens on Tuesday, I think it is, or Monday when he's arraigned in Miami. We're going to find out that he was back-channeling some other countries. Let me get real serious here for a second. The documents that were kept were related to U.S. nuclear programs and military weaknesses that we have around the world. Why would you keep those documents? And it's not as if I heard the argument made, well, Biden did the same thing. Biden did not do the same thing. Very, very big difference between the two. Number one, the documents that Biden had were a couple of documents. They weren't sensitive in terms of our military prowess around the world. He did not share them with random aides and random people and say, look what I've got. He also self-disclosed that he had those documents and immediately returned them.
Correct.
In the case of the former president, the cover-up is always worse than the crime. Not only did he say he returned all the documents, but he was lying when he said it, and then had his aides draw up documents that were false. I mean, it's really bad where we are as a country because he's got his version of the truth, and there are people following him like black women follow their pastors. No matter what, they're not going anywhere.
Wait a minute, Deacon Lorraine, easy now on the pastors.
Well, I'm just telling you the truth, right? You know, you catch a pastor in all kinds of stuff in some places, and people are like, "God, that's my guy. Don't talk about my pastor."
Right.
People are like, "Don't talk about my president." The guy's a criminal. He's always been a crook, and he's being exposed for that now.
Yeah, I think there's a psychology to admitting you picked the wrong person to support and follow, and some people struggle with even the realities of that. You think about something, of how that works, and that's what I think that I can understand the mishap in taking the doc. I get taking the documents. The thing that I don't understand, I posted something about it this morning on Facebook. Bakari Sellers telling us why, when they asked you, did you have the documents, did you say no? Why did, when they asked you to return the documents, you say I returned them all together? Why did you then get other people involved and put them at risk? Those are the things I think that create some culpability and on an exposure for possible conviction on his part. Let me ask you this: how does that impact the whole political? How does this impact the political races from your perspective?
Well, if there's one thing I agree with the professor on is that it doesn't. Not on the Republican side. I always find it interesting that Republicans are somewhat obsessed with what Democrats should do. He kind of spin that around. He was like, well, Joe Biden. He was like, wait a minute, Joe Biden hasn't been indicted for anything, okay?
Right.
He might have tripped last week, but, that was, anybody would have tripped on that sandbag that was in place there.
The question is, what Republican put that sandbag? That's what really needs to be investigated. First, who get that guy?
Listen. Let me put my little bit of spin on here. Yeah, Joe Biden fell down, but he got back up, and that's what Democrats do, right? They get back up after they fall.
So you don't think this is going to affect the race in any meaningful way?
Well, it can't, right? Because all of his Republican challengers are afraid to go after him. The same voters that are supporting Trump are the same voters they need to win the nomination. So they can't go hard against the guy because they'll turn on him. Now, we're waiting for somebody to step up and really swing that bat, but they're all afraid to is the problem.
Well, Asa Hutchinson,
that says more about that.
Yeah, hold on. Asa Hutchinson came out and said he should drop out of the race already.
Who?
Asa Hutchinson.
Who?
Yeah, that guy.
Who?
And then I expect also,
Who?
Christie is going to come in and he's going to take some shots as well. That's what I think he's being paid. I mean, he's running for. Is to come in and he's going to be the bad guy.
So, Mr. Hutchinson, again, everybody is like, who's that? Nobody cares. Chris Christie is exactly what Ron DeSantis is afraid of becoming, which is why he's running for governor now while he's still governor and not while he's out of office. He's afraid that he's not going to have the power of the office, the executive office of being the governor, in order to run for president. Nobody cares what Chris Christie thinks. Now, he may come back out and try to go after Trump, but the reality is people are going to point back to his record of unabashedly supporting Trump over the years, and that's going to disqualify him from being a critic. The best person that probably could do it would be someone like Nikki Haley, but unfortunately she's run from her own heritage, and that's going to bite her. The Republicans still have not shown themselves willing to get behind a woman leader, which is really sad on their part. If I'm Donald Trump, I let them beat me up. I go down to the courthouse. I turn around like Nixon, put my hands up in the air, say I'm an innocent man. This is a witch hunt. Don't enact any violence, right? But I need your support. I go win the nomination. I get Tim Scott as my running mate so I could lock up the South and get those black male voters and be like, look, I'm going back to the White House. I don't think that happens, but that's the strategy I would enact if I were him.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is probably the most plausible route to go. I don't know about if he can trust Tim Scott. That'd be the big issue. And within the black community, is Tim Scott somebody that can come out and deliver a message? He sounds like every other Republican, so I don't think that he'll have much gravitas to really help Trump very much. He may flank him from the racist comments.
And that's what he needs, right? In this election, sometimes you got to have somebody that gives you cover, and that's what choosing Tim Scott as a running mate for Trump would do. Provide him with cover, that he's running with someone that's sensible, that takes away all the racist stuff, and it provides cover for the black people out there that want to vote for Donald Trump to say, see, he's not a racist. I mean, I'm just telling you the calculation. I'm not saying it's going to work.
Right, exactly. And it is your prediction, though, ultimately that Donald Trump gets convicted. Do you think he actually gets convicted or pleads out to something on these charges?
At the end of the day, something you said in the last segment made a lot of sense. We always talk about disparities in the justice system. even if Mr. Trump were to be convicted, the reality is he's never going to jail. The United States of America is not a third world country, regardless of how horrible this man has been to us when he was in office and outside of it. We're not going to put a living former president in a U.S. jail. That's just not going to happen.
Right. One of the ideas, of course, it demeans the office, I think, of the president. But this guy
too late for that, though.
Being elected. Exactly, though. Hey, listen, Ed, I appreciate you taking a minute and calling in, spending some time with us. As always, a great supporter of the show. Hey, man, you have a great rest of your Saturday.
Hey, I'm going to do the best that I can given the news that we got yesterday.
Right,
you have
man.
a great one.
Good. All right, man. Take care, man. Ed and the Rain calling in, giving us, I would say gave us 2 cents, but I think I got a full nickel out of him right there. So good enough. Let's take a quick break. We come back on the other side. We're going to take your calls. Call in number 813-444-9588. 813-444-9588. In-Touch News Radio, Reality Radio. Everybody could be a star. We'll be right back.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here-for-you.
You've been injured. You deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
Hi, I'm Angela Birdsong, and during the week, they call me the Medicare lady. I help people successfully transition onto Medicare, sometimes Medicaid. I also help people with life insurance, long-term care insurance, and annuities. Please do not try to navigate Medicare without me. It's complicated. 813-476-4837.
All right, we're back live on In-Touch News Radio, Reality Radio, where everybody could be a star. This is Clinton Paris on the backside of the show. Listen, I want to appreciate everybody for listening in. We had the professor come on and give the Republican layout after we've gotten these 31 count indictment of former President Donald Trump. Then you heard the retort, a rebuttal from Ed Rain. He came in, former state representative and occasional co-host of the show as well. He sits in and guest hosts when there's a need. And he said something I really just it would just be disheartening to me to see Tim Scott sell further out and be Donald Trump's vice presidential candidate. I would just be dismayed if that were to happen. We're in a resurgence of black pride and the elevation of issues affecting the black community and accountability to America. And I just think that Tim Scott represents his mindset a step backwards. And I'm going to sidestep on this issue because I want to say this because I watched Tim Scott this week on The View. And they were talking about this idea that he represents the exception to the impact of what systematic racism has done to the black community. And he had the audacity to say, well, I'm offended by that comment. If you're saying that, then what are we saying to young people? Well, you ain't got to say it to young people. It's a reality. They live it. They live it. You don't have to say it. They live the experience, and you have to tell them what they're experiencing in a predominantly white society. They see it in their schools. They see it in their communities. So you don't have to tell them that, listen, you're gonna have to be exceptional to succeed in America. for you to make it to to receive the benefits of American citizenship, you have to, go further. When we talk about, black folks wanting to buy a house, your credit's got to be stellar, no blemishes. Other folks have multiple bankruptcies, foreclosures, they go right back in, get another one. You go in to buy a car, you get stellar, credit stellar. You better have as much money in the bank as it takes to buy the car before they'll give you a loan. Those are just some of the examples, educationally, academically, on your jobs. We live this exceptionalism requirement that you must exceed what's expected or what's laid out if you want a fair shot of the American pie. So I'd be disappointed to see him as a vice presidential candidate. I also do not want to see an American president in jail. I don't. In fact, I really don't like that he's being prosecuted. I really don't. I don't like it. But he made them. He's like some of these Karens we see in videos. They just go too far. If they would just stop when they were ahead and call it a day. Kind of like we tried to get OJ to do. OJ, stop, don't do it. But he had to keep going, and so they finally got to him. When you're ahead, be thankful and stop what you're doing, call it a day. But Donald Trump in this situation, he forced the DOJ's hand. You talk about comparing Donald Trump's indictment to the indictment of Hillary, and or the lack of an indictment of Hillary, the lack of an indictment of Hunter. Well, let's start with the first thing. Hunter Biden was never in any office. And when Hillary was told to give back what she had, after they took the hammers and smashed the things and scrubbed the stuff with, the servers, they did give it back. So a little bit different handling. Anyway, we got a call on the phone. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning, the great attorney, man. I just got calling in. It's Carter Trucker.
What's going on? How you feeling this morning?
I'm not in Atlanta. Yeah,
you're not.
I'm feeling pretty good.
All right, good. But listen, so I'm sure you got some things on your mind, but let me poke at you real quick if I could. When you heard Donald Trump was indicted, which was he was charged with these federal crimes, what did you think?
Like you said, I was really happy because you have one of these little bad kids. They just keep nagging, keep doing you. Sit down, you don't do this, don't do that. One of these little bad kids just keep getting into stuff, and then you just want to go and just punch it. But so it's just fucking to keep doing stuff. So I just wanted to, the whole everybody just watching this kid just getting into all the stuff there, and everybody watching just want to punch him. So yeah, he got indicted, but he's going to be prosecuted. But what kind of consequences he's going to suffer?
Well,
kind of
he's a weird guy in that I think Donald Trump, he only cares about one thing: attention. Good attention, bad attention, whatever it may be. He just wants to be getting the attention. And the fact that attention may come with him getting criminal charges, I think that's par for the course. What do you think?
And it's right, and it does keep him relevant, and it does keep him in his field his base. So you're right, but on the flip side of that, just the aggravation of him is just how he's just turning our democracy, just how he's just really interrupting our democracy. It's just making people not really believe in it.
Well, you're right about that. One, he is making a mockery of our democracy, but we've made a mockery of our democracy by claiming it's something that it's never been. The home of the free, life lived in pursuit of happiness, free speech rights. This country, from its start, has been a big hypocrisy from the beginning to now, wherein the rules only apply to some people, and then there were another set of rules for other people. And he is exposing this, and there are people in the corner going, hey, cut that out, Trump. You're going to blow this for everybody. Because there's a group like Donald Trump that the rules have never applied to. They've never applied to them, where they get away with things repeatedly that were unfathomable that other people would get away with. But because of who they are, they've gotten away with those things. And those things are usually where you're a tall, rich, white person. The rules have been different for you. And that's how it's been. And he is exposing that to the nth degree. I mean, to the point he's going with the feds. He's had presidential papers and subpoenas and things that people, I send people subpoenas sometime, and they call me crying. They're terrified. Oh, my God, are the police going to come in? I'm like, no. That just means you need to give me what we're asking for, or you need to show up for a deposition or something, but nobody's going to put you in jail, and they're terrified of those things. He gets a subpoena. He tells his lawyers to write him a lie. It just comical. I can't let you go to Carl before I get your thoughts about how does this impact Joe Biden? How does Joe Biden play this to his benefit, though?
Well, I think Joe Biden I think he just should stay away from it. I mean, he just stay away from it, and and work on his candidacy and just stay away from it, and don't because it'll make it. You're right. It'll make it seem like he's using the DOJ against Trump, but nobody really will see that this is his own doing. So if Joe just stays away from it, and just the only thing, just stay away from it or whatever, just let it be what it is. You go to with Tim Scott, man. This Tim Scott, man. Tim Scott is so far dancing with Lindsey Graham chair. I don't think he will be a good pick for vice president anyway.
Well, the only reason I say that he is there to flank the racial, because what's going to happen is, when we get close to the election, the Republicans are going to already have to fend off from the claims of racial harboring extremist things of that nature, and they're going to need somebody to refute that, and having him on the ticket would be the way that you do it. In my mind, that would be the way that you do. Otherwise, they're going to be, he's in a good position. Somebody's going to put him. I think either Trump puts him on his ticket, or I think DeSantis might put him on his ticket. But DeSantis may also go with Nikki Haley. She would, bring her in. She's already got some federal experience.
DeSantis will do better with Nikki Haley, but not Tim Scott. Tim Scott is not he's not Barack Obama. He don't have the charisma. He don't have the flash to put in black voters. I mean, those ones that want to disconnect from being black. Yeah, probably so, but he's not a.
I would tell you this.
He's not Obama.
But listen, you're right. Well, you're right about that. Obama he just seems so authentic. I mean, he just came across as, I'm just being who I am. I'm just communicating what I'm thinking. Tim Scott comes across that he's trying to make a statement. He's trying to tell you it seems more control. It doesn't seem natural to him. That's my thing with Tim. It doesn't seem natural.
I think it's one of these guys that, one of these black guys who say he's trying to be white. He's trying to be white.
Well, worse than that, I think he's trying to excuse what white people have done. So he doesn't have to be responsible for holding them accountable. So he wants to excuse what they've done and say it's no longer something affecting me, so we need not talk about it. The fact that those things aren't affecting me, because if he does say that, he's got to say, then how do we fix him? Anyway, hey, Carl, I didn't get your call. Hold on. Can you hold on to after the break, Carl?
Yes, I can.
Okay, you hold on. I apologize. I've asked all my questions, and you called me. So give me a second. We're going to take this quick break, come back on the other side, Carl, and I'll respond to whatever you have on your mind since you called me. How about we do that? In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. We'll be right back after this quick break. Yeah, I vindicated.
In Touch Radio, the most loved station across the nation. In Touch Radio. Tell a friend. In Touch Radio.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
The Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam all-white party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
You've been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
All right, we're back live on In Touch News Radio, reality radio. I am going to break protocol and do something I normally don't do because y'all are killing me with some of these comments that people are sending me. Somebody just wrote me a note that says, nobody wants Tim Scott to do anything but shut up. Oh, goodness. Oh, man, that's too funny there, man. That's too funny. And I will not read your negative comments about the good professor at all. So you can just stop sending me those. Professor A provides us with a great insight to other perspectives. But what I will do for you is say, listen, if you feel so strongly about your comments, the number is 813-444-9588. You can come on and, we'll give you a fair shot. I will be nice, and I've told you before. If you're uncomfortable being you, then don't be you. Make up a name. Make up a new character. Be somebody else. This is your chance. You've never liked yourself anyway, probably. Be somebody else for a minute. Call in, share your thoughts and comments, and we would appreciate that. The call-in number 813-444-9588. Listen, we only got a few minutes left. I want to get everybody synced up right as we move, because we've got a couple of major weekends coming up that I don't want people to miss. All right. The first one is going to be Juneteenth. In the current era of anti-wokeness that we see permeating throughout America. And what I mean by anti-wokeness, I refer to that as your anti-equity, fairness, justice. You're anti-America, meaning the same thing for everyone. You're anti-removing those negative remaining obstacles that prevent people from having the fullness of a citizenship experience. When I hear people that are against wokeness, that's what I think about, because we need to be very conscious and aware of where things are in our society, because if you don't know where you are, it's hard to get to where you're trying to get to. So in this area of anti whatever you want to call it, we need to show up on Juneteenth, and I'm talking about party it up. I have nothing against you having a good time. It need not be some heavy change the world moment, but express your pride and blackness. Last year, and I think I may have shown it, DJ CEO, man, I got the biggest Juneteenth flag. It went up last night. I put it up at night so when my neighbors woke up in the morning, it looked like one of those big old dealership flags, man. It's out in the front yard just flapping. Man, that big old flag. I mean, you come to my front door, the flag hanging down so low, you have to go under the flag to get to the front door. It is the biggest flag. When the wind hit that thing, man, it stands out. But celebrate celebrate Juneteenth. It is a celebration. I know some folks are gonna make it a day about remembrance in the past. Go for it. Go ahead and knock yourself out. But it's a great day to celebrate. If you think about what happened on that day, it was a giant leap forward in the American experience for black folks as chattel slavery legally came to an end. Didn't get rid of all obstacles we had to deal with, but it did. So when Juneteenth come up, listen, it's okay to be black. You know, it is okay. I recall going to the Million Man March in D.C. And the older I get, DJ CEO, the more proud I am I went, because it was like, you know, there was no organized local effort to go, and individuals had to be aware of the situation in America enough to say, I need to be at this event. But I remember going up, and I went by to visit somebody, a black person I know up in the D.C. area, by his office. On my way, you know what he says? He's like, you know, I'm management here. I'm in charge. I'm in leadership. I don't know how people would feel knowing I was at the Million Man March. Well, I got to the Million Man March, and you know, brothers out there holding hands, buckets of money being passed around, great speeches, just an incredible moment. I got a call from the person. He said, "Hey, Clint, where you at?" I said, "Well, I'm on the mall. I'm in the mix. I'm bonding with the million. I'm out here." He goes, "Well, I'm trying to get into the district, and you know, transportation shut down and whatnot." I said, "Well, I thought you weren't coming." He said, "Well, the Jewish guys at my job started asking me why I wasn't there." And I thought, that's interesting. They got it, but you didn't. They got it, but you didn't. That is what Juneteenth is about, an awareness of our blackness collectively in America and what we need to be dealing with and addressing in all fashion. I just think it's subtle, and I'll finish with this because I got to get out the air because we've got Michelle Williams coming up, and she's really going to tell you about being woke. I play with it. She's going to really tell you about how you stay woke on her show, which follows after me. But DJ CEO, I got a new client came in the office. Young man came in with his mom to sit down and hire me. And I was like, oh, just, great that you all would select me and what. Mom said, hey, he's the one with the issue. He's the one that found. I said, well, young man, little night, how did you find me? He said, I looked in on the internet and I wanted me a black lawyer. I was just like, well, why'd you want a black lawyer? He said, well, I just thought if I'm doing business, I should try to benefit a black business in my community. I was so moved I had to cut my rate. Not that I do that very often, so I want to get the wrong impression out there. You come in the door looking for a discount rate because then I got to give you discount representation. But I'm just saying, I was so moved by his youth and concept. Mom looked a little baffled, but she was going along. She was like, it's his issue. Let me let that issue roll along as it need be. And I would tell you, Darryl, I talked to numerous people who didn't go to the Million Man March, who had their white counterparts asking them about why weren't you there. That just goes to the level of poison in our heads. I mean, just that was just mass. It is amazing. White people get this, and that's why they're fighting it. They get what's at stake. It's black folks. We have been indoctrinated. I'm going to go too far. We are the ones plugged into the matrix. We're the ones that need to unplug and ask some questions. And you will find that people are okay asking questions. How can we forever remember the Jewish Holocaust in World War II and not remember the Holocaust of slavery? How can we even conceive of that? It just doesn't make any sense that we would do one and not the other. But the powerful space of this is that other people get what's at stake. Other cultures get it. We've been so removed by that. So it's really a time, I think, Juneteenth, I want to fire people up. Go celebrate Juneteenth. The last thing I'm going to say is Father's Day is coming up. Listen out there, real quick, get this out the way. And I'm not talking about my house. I'm just talking. Do not go waste dad's money on dad's gift. You need to spend your own money. You need to spend. Do not wait. Don't use dad's credit card and waste it on dad. The dads will get themselves a gift what they want. You use your money and get dad a gift to go with that. I'm going to leave it at that. Listen, everybody, have a great Saturday, rest of the weekend. Get out there and do your thing. Stick around. Let's see what's going on with Stay Woke, which comes up right after this show. We'll be back next week on In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody could be a star. Have a great day, y'all.